a podcast by Vision Point Marketing.
Yeah, this is Dana Cruikshank, Vice President at Vision Point Marketing. Really appreciate you joining us today for the Rock Enroll podcast. Today's guest is Melony Martinez, Director of Marketing and Public Relations at National Park College, a longtime Vision Point client, and just one of my favorite college communicators. I'm just going to say that. So really excited you
Oh,
can join us today, Melony.
well, thank you, Dana. It's a joy. We always love to catch up with you guys, and we feel like you're family here, part of the Nighthawk family. So,
Oh, love that. I have a Nighthawk magnet on my fridge, actually. So always good to rep the National Park College Nighthawks. So yeah, I'm curious. Tell us a little about National Park College, because it's kind of a unique community college, as it were.
it is. So, we are a comprehensive community college in Arkansas, Hot Springs, Arkansas. We serve about 3,000 credit students annually and about 4,000 non-credit students annually. So, overall, about 7,000 students a year across a lot of different programs. I serve as the Director of Marketing and Public Relations, so my team is responsible for a lot of different areas. We do advertising, graphic design, social media, public relations, web services, crisis comms, media relations, and now all of athletics, marketing, and broadcasting. So, we got to do a little bit of all of it.
Why, for a job that big, there must be a team of 14 of you, right? I mean,
I mean, one could only hope. So we have about 5 full-time and about two to three part-time employees.
gotcha. So about half that number I just named,
Yeah.
which would be it. Yeah, it's probably quite a bit, probably a lot of nodding of heads right now happening. I think that's not, unfortunately, not uncommon, but there it is. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are the only community college located within a national park, or help me remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are located in Hot Springs National Park.
Hmm.
And it is beautiful here. Our campus is, nestled in between the mountains, and so with beautiful views and a very natural setting, which is we always say if we can get them on our campus, then we've won. So
Yeah. There you go. Well, actually, that's an interesting kind of segue into the next question. So, how long have you been in National Park College? Like a long time, right? You've
yes, so I have been here 19 years.
Wow.
We've been through a lot in that time. It's been a journey.
I know it was a couple of years ago you were looking to add residence halls, right? Is that part of what makes you a comprehensive community college, or
Well, comprehensive in the fact that we have, programs that are credit that work towards, like an associate degree that's transferable to another college. But we also serve a lot of community needs. For instance, we have an adult education center that helps students to get their GED or learn ESL or do short-term programs. We have comprehensive workforce programs that serve the needs of our industry here, apprenticeship programs that train people for careers in all kinds of trades. So it's more than just what you would consider your basics.
Okay, so I always ask this of every community college marketer that I speak to. There's always every community college, and there's so many of them, has that one program that is like special in your state or special in your region or so forth. I will never forget visiting an institution that shall not be named, and they had a morgue on campus because they were the only mortuary science program in the state, and it's an interesting selling point. Like all the students in that campus knew, like, oh, there's dead bodies on campus. Like, oh, that's a selling point. So, hoping National Park's unique thing is different, but what are some of your kind of different programs, if you will?
Yeah, so probably our most unique program to us is our marine repair technology program, which prepares students to work on, marine boats, motors, that type of thing. It's the only one in the region across multiple states. I think Florida may be the closest other program to us. So we have students who come from states all around to participate in that.
So if we were watching the Netflix series Ozark, you saw those boats, like maybe one of those was repaired by your people, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, could be.
I mean, you just never know. So there it
You
is.
never know.
But yeah, I mentioned before, curious, like adding residence halls, like how has that changed kind of the feel of the campus?
Well, we're actually currently initiating the construction of a second on-campus housing unit just because the need is so great for our student body. But I think it really shifted the demographics of our students. A lot of the things that we've added over the years, we've added athletics in the past 5 to 7 years. We've added new programs, bachelor's degrees. These things have shifted the demographics of our student body. We used to serve mostly non-traditional students, and we used to be more of a commuter campus. And over those years, adding different initiatives, it's really changed who we serve. And now our student body is mostly traditional aged. And so it kind of flip-flopped. And they need safe, affordable housing. And so we've added that, and it's been full since we opened the door and oversubscribed. And we continue to see that need. So we're building another one.
Wow. That's really remarkable. I mean, I think the story nationwide for so many public 2-year campuses has been, hey, we're having to transition away from traditional undergrad, and we're having to then move into, serving more adult learners and non-traditional learners and so forth. But it sounds like you're having the opposite effect there. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think, here in Arkansas, I think nationwide unemployment rates are fairly low, but here we're, around 2.8%.
Gotcha.
Which is record lows for unemployment. And we know non-traditional students go to work during those times. And so it's really hard to get them through the door to go to class when they've got a good paying job.
Yeah.
And so, I think that plays into it. I also think that just we've worked really hard to listen to our students and meet their needs. And when they tell us, hey, we need 4-year degrees right here, or we want an opportunity to continue athletics, after high school. We've added those opportunities, and it's been really attractive to that traditional learner that comes straight out of high school.
Oh, that makes sense. All right. So you mentioned having been at National Park College for 19 years. So I want you to think all the way back to 2004. Justin Timberlake has just shocked the world with Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl. I think that was 2004. Either way, thinking about what I was trying to think of, like 2004 landmarks. Like, what was it? There was that show, The OC, on Fox. I used to love that show. I don't know if anybody caught that.
I mean, that's a long time ago. You're dating me, Dana.
But think about going all the way back 2004. Kelly Clarkson is on the airways telling us what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And what how were you recruiting students back then?
Wow. I think at that time we didn't really have a marketing department per se.
Okay.
I helped build that probably 10 years ago or so. We at the time we had one person that was sort of helping manage that, and it was, we put out a catalog and we put a schedule in the newspaper and we hoped they would come,
Yep.
Now our systems are so much more evolved and complex, and it's been exciting to watch that transition over the years of, just how we market to students and how we recruit to students and reach them in different ways.
That it's fascinating too. Like you'd mentioned before, having a team of like 5 and a couple of part-time folks. I imagine your team's probably grown a little bit as your roles have evolved, but that's a very common story of having to be that kind of Swiss Army knife person. So, any advice as somebody who's kind of built that model up at an institution? Any advice for folks who are trying to figure out how to make that work where they are?
My best advice would be to hire talented people who are flexible and adaptable. people who are willing to cross train, who have a real heart for student success. I've had a lot of success hiring former alumni of the college because they really understand the struggle of a community college student. They're really better able to communicate to prospective students and to share their stories authentically because they've been there and they know what it's like to sit in their seat. So I think that, probably the majority of our team were community college students at one time. I'm a community college product myself, so that's deep in my heart, just what it means to come from community college. And it's a different struggle that students who attend community college have to deal with.
No, absolutely. And I feel like the struggles have really evolved as well. The student struggles. I mean, there's some things are kind of perennial, but I feel like I don't want to say baggage, that sounds demeaning, but the issues that people are bringing to the table, the obstacles that they have. You mentioned housing right there. I don't think there's anywhere in the country where people aren't really struggling with that. So it's yeah,
for sure.
Well, I think one of the questions everyone's probably asking themselves is how did you convince everybody to, like, your boards, your presidents, and so forth, to really kind of get behind that vision that it took to build that team out and to be able to add all those capabilities and so forth?
Well, I'm a data nerd, so I love to dig into the numbers and use that to make decisions. And so when you're tracking what you're doing and showing them what works, it's really an easy way to convince people that, hey, if we invest in this, this is the result we're going to get. And so I think that was a big part of it. Some of it was just common sense. It made sense for us to invest in these areas because we hadn't done it before. And when we first started this marketing department, we had a new president, and he was very supportive, and he understood the vision for that and encouraged the work that we were doing, and that made a big difference too. So,
gotcha. So that's sort of that nice nexus of leaders who get it, and then kind of having a vision to be able to put forward as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just as an aside, this is a little thing. I was having this conversation with someone else who's worked a long time in community colleges, and we're talking about community college presidents. And if you have a good one, just how golden that is. I've been hearing some fears, just talking to folks, that we would hate to get into a position where community college presidents become similar to almost like school superintendents or that sort of thing as well. They come in with like one thing they want to implement, they get the one thing started, and then they kind of move on with that one thing kind of half done, and then kind of use that to sell themselves to move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? Like I would hate to see that kind of revolving door thing happen, but
yeah, we've been really lucky here. Dr. Hogan is really invested in our community, and he genuinely cares about student success, and that makes a big difference. It's not a resume builder for him,
yep.
Which I think happens a lot of times in a president's journey. And, no fault of their own, they deserve to have success as well. But at the end of the day, if you're working in higher ed and it's not about the students, then you probably should consider another career.
Agreed. I also say Dr. Hogan is one of the few college presidents who's ever joined us for our marketing report call. And it was great. It wasn't like a micromanaged thing. It was like, no, I want to know, I want to see it. Like I'm seeing results, but I want to understand the deeper, bigger picture. So that was pretty cool to see. So.
Yeah, I think he enjoys the data part of it too. And we've had successful campaigns with you guys for many years, and that's exciting. People want to be a part of success. And so it is always, those calls are always joyful calls.
I appreciate that. I mean, I will say though, it is a lot easier to achieve that level of success when you have a partner who's willing to take some risks, which is it's not uncommon in the community college market, but folks can be a little hesitant sometimes, a little bit of one to follow the herd or that sort of thing. So I don't know. Appreciate having partners who want to take some risks as well. So
Sure. Yeah.
calculating risks well based in the data, but
yeah, right.
so
That tends to be our MO here. We don't like to follow the crowd much. We kind of tend to be the pace setter. So.
exactly. So it well, actually, while we're talking about data as well, so you guys recently implemented a new CRM, right? How's that been going?
It's going really well. We're fairly early still in the process. So we began implementing Slate last year, and we're continuing to build that out and create all the functions that are needed there. But we've had some help with that. You guys have been great. We're really grateful to have a trusted partner to turn to in you guys here at Vision Point.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just to have the solid advice and consulting and even some hands-on work, to help us get through that and get it up and running was really amazing. We're still working on that together, by the way. You guys are helping us build out all of our reporting functions soon, so that's exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always feel like with CRMs, it's like an 18-speed bicycle, and most people use like 2 gears because there's just so much to do with it. And you're like, I don't know. So,
Yeah,
I don't know. There's like a bit of overwhelm, I think,
it
inherent.
is overwhelmed, but I'll say that I think it's improved our work overall. Just and hopefully the student experience as well. I think we've been able to make more informed decisions and more strategic decisions. And I think we have a more complete process, maybe a more complete vision of what our students' journey should look like, And that's the goal anyway, is to create a complete and a seamless student experience from prospect to alumni. So, we don't have all of those in place yet, but we started with the recruitment end of the CRM. But eventually we want to build out that student success piece and then the fundraising and alumni pieces as well.
Also, I don't know, Slate is so funny. I think they're at like over 50% market share within the higher ed market. And I know they're having their big conference. If you're listening to us, whenever you're hearing this episode, it's the week of Slate's big conference. We're sending a bunch of people there, but I understand those are wild. Like
Yes.
Have you been? I haven't been to one, but I understand they're
yes. So we went to Slate Summit last summer, and we're headed back this week. So we're really excited. We teased because it was our first summit experience last year, and we sent 3 people. We're sending 3 people this year. And when we got there, it was like this cult-like experience. Slate is like this tribe of people, and they all support one another, and everyone shares information, and it's wonderful. It was just so different than any other technology conference I had been to because that people share some, and everyone wants to share ideas, but it's nothing like that at the summit. It's like people will sit together and build things out right there, or solve problems and create solutions just right on the spot. It's a very generous community.
Well, that's yeah, I understand last year they had like a commissioned symphony piece or some such, or
Yes.
quartet piece or something. That's I love that. That's hilarious. My grandfather was a sales executive in the 30s all the way through to the early 1970s, and he would say that every year the company that he would work for, this was really common back then, would actually hire Broadway composers who were kind of like off work at that point. And they would create these custom musicals explaining the product line to everyone. So like you'd get the song in your head and you'd like really understand it. So I guess it's like a throwback to that in a way, right? Like a Slate symphony.
Yeah, it was something to behold.
Super fun. Yeah, well that's cool. So yeah, so I'm just kind of curious, what would you say are some of the advantages of being a marketer at a smaller institution? Because you guys aren't like teeny tiny, but you're not terribly big either. Head count of around 7,000. That's not huge, as it were, and it used to be even smaller. So what do you think are some of the advantages of having that smaller environment?
Well, I think we throw this term around a lot, but it's something that people use to describe our campus often, and that is family. You don't feel invisible in a place like National Park College.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're able to have some freedom and autonomy here that I don't believe is always available at a larger institution. And that allows us to be really creative and adaptive to the marketplace. So I think community colleges are generally able to be more nimble, and that gives us quite an advantage.
No, that makes perfect sense. And I always feel like too, when you know the people who you need to talk to be able to get problems solved, when it's not I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of committees because it's public education, but still, like when you have that ability to just be able to connect with people on that, I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
As well. So that's really cool. Yeah, one of the other things I want to talk to, I know we're just kind of jumping around here on topics, but you are smaller, and yet you recruit out of state all the time, and out of region and so forth. I'm kind of familiar with the strategy of that, but what kind of inspired that more aggressive marketing push, would you say, to move out, and how's that working?
Well, I think athletics played a huge role in that our president is super aggressive. He's very competitive, and it's a competitive market. And so he's challenged us to step outside of our backyard, as you say here, and to really reach students outside of that circle. So, I think that over the past 5 years or so, we've tripled the number of states that our students are coming from. We have about 18 states represented last fall in our student population and 11 international students. And so that was really exciting to see. This past graduation, we had students tuning in from all over the world on the live stream. Their families were watching, and with families come in from other countries to attend commencement and our end of year ceremonies and celebrations. And that's different. That's not something we've experienced in past years. So that was really cool. I think the need for our second on-campus housing unit is a testament to that effort that we've been pushing so aggressively to reach outside of just our region. We've seen record numbers of new students over the past few years. And even though we've had relatively flat enrollment overall, we're still growing that new student population. I think we've also had, this year, we had a record number of graduates and credentials awarded at graduation. And that's been true for the past few years. And so, we're celebrating our 50th year this year. We just graduated our largest class, 518 graduates. They earned 833 degrees and certificates. And so we're all kind of on this graduation high right now.
Exactly. Well, I think that's even more remarkable. You think of how many students you were able to get to completion. I mean, there was a pandemic in the middle of that too. I mean, that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we hear a lot of I don't want to say excuses because it was a very, but we do hear a lot of stories of, well, things are down, but the pandemic, what you gonna do? Seems like that was never an option for you guys at National Park College. It was like, just keep charging forward. So, yeah. Well,
we are definitely competitive. That's for sure. Our president often tells us, if you don't win, don't come home.
Love it. Coffee's for closers. You've been in this world now for 20 years, just about. Curious where you see. Obviously, a lot of things have changed. Where do you see it all going? Like the next 5 years for the community college space, marketing and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, things change so quickly here, especially in marketing. A lot of what we do is technology related, and we've got AI coming in on us and all of these things. So if I look back 5 years ago and I try to look at where we are today, I would have never imagined we'd be in this spot. But I think we'll continue to lean more heavily on digital channels. I think we'll become more targeted and niche in that and smarter about where we put our money and the decisions that we make. But overall, as an industry, I think higher education is facing a lot of challenges. I think I believe to be relevant moving forward that community colleges are going to have to better adapt to the traditional students' needs and their expectations, not just what they need, but what they expect from their college experience. And so we're going to have to be aggressive and purposeful in serving those needs and the needs of our communities as well in order to remain sustainable financially. It's a really tough environment out there.
Indeed. Yeah, it's interesting when you say that about expectations being the whole key to everything. An engineer once taught me that the equation for happiness is reality minus expectations. And I do feel like so many times in marketing, you want to set a really high expectations, get people in the funnel, get them excited, and then the student experience doesn't match that. And
yes,
there's disconnect there. Yeah. Ultimately ends up hurting the brand, but also, just not to mention the, aspirations of that particular student too. So it's tough.
Yeah.
Well, look, I really appreciate spending time with us here. So, you've been at this for a couple decades now and have really trailblazed some success there at National Park College. Any advice, any parting advice you would give peers, colleagues, and so forth?
So, yeah, I think I've said this many times, but I would advise you to listen to your students. I mean, really listen and seek out their feedback. We conduct our own focus groups here on campus, and we work to create this culture of sharing, but it doesn't end there. You have to take what they tell you, and you have to act on it and respond to it. And here, our students told us that they needed safe, affordable housing. They told us they wanted an opportunity to continue their athletic careers past high school. They told us they wanted to stay here and complete their 4-year degrees. And all of those innovative ideas that we've implemented here have come directly from the voice of our students. And so, I mean, just like with any good marketing initiative, you have to know your audience.
Indeed. It's amazing how it all comes back to the basics,
Yeah, that's true.
There it is. So, well, Melony Martinez, thanks for all you do. Really, and I hope the trip to the cult meeting, I mean the is a good one, and enjoy it. Where is it this year, by the way?
It's in Nashville again. And,
again, okay.
I know it will be great. We'll look forward to seeing all of our friends from Vision Point face to face, which is always really great. So,
indeed, excellent.
Thank you for your time and thank you for your partnership. We're so
absolutely.
thankful for you guys and everything you add to our team here. So.
Absolutely. Really appreciate you spending the time with us. It's been really great.